Good afternoon, good morning, good night. Whatever time you're watching this video, I hope you're having an amazing day, morning, night. If not, make it amazing, right? So today is day 13 of our intentional balance challenge. This year, our focus is on what if letting go leads to more? What if letting go leads to more? That's our challenge for 21 days. And today is day 13. These days are going by really, really fast. If you're new to us, just drop new in the chat and drop where you're from. Welcome, welcome. If you've been here at least once during this 21 days, or if you've joined us on any of our challenges, we do this every year. Say hello in the chat and where you're from. What if letting go leads to more? That's the question of these 21 days. So, welcome back or welcome. I have a question for you today. Um, and we normally start off with a thought provoking question. What if the things that you're holding on to, maybe it's fear, maybe it's doubt, maybe it's something that's even working, and you're comfortable with it? What if those things, whatever that thing or things with the S, because sometimes there's more than one, right? What if that's the thing, the situation, the person, that's holding you back from or standing between you and the life that God is calling you to live? Is it worth it, or is it worth at least trying to get past that, right? Because if we put forth the effort with all that we have and we trust God who can do all things, then we can get past those things over and beyond them, regardless of what the situation is. What if letting go actually leads to so much more than you can ever imagine? So, again, I'm thrilled to have you here for day 13 of our 21-day intentional balance challenge. Whether you're listening, as I said, for the first time or joining us for the first time, or whether you've done every day or a few days, welcome and congratulations for taking the time out to not only spend time with yourself and encourage yourself, but making the commitment for change. Change is my word for this year. Um, and however you connected to us, whether it's during the challenge or after the challenge, because all of the replays are available, I want you to stop in this moment and just take a moment to pause. Sometimes among all the life and the chaos and all the things that come along with just living, right? Just breathing. Sometimes we need to take a pause and just focus on our breathing, lean into the truth that God is with us no matter what is going on in this moment right now in your life or in the life of the people that you may love, right? Or in the world. We have to know that God is still in control in the midst of all the chaos. And so let's just take a moment just to take a deep breath and, breathe from your belly. I used to think when people did breathing exercises that it just looked and sounded ridiculous until I really got into it for myself. If you can learn to do a breathing exercise for 1 whole minute, and I may do a video on this, if you can do 1 whole minute of breathing, you will actually feel the difference when you're done if you do it the correct way. So I just want to take a moment right now, even if you have to pause the video and just breathe, take a deep breath, hold it, and then let it go. Push it all the way out until, breathe it all the way out until you can't feel it anymore. Just push it all the way out. Do that 5 or 6 times. That'll end up being a minute. Inhale, hold it, count to 20, push it all the way out, and then just keep doing that 5 or 6 times. Sometimes we need to pause and do that during the day. Sometimes we need to pause and do that in the middle of a conversation. It may look crazy, it may feel crazy, but you have to learn how to work on yourself regardless of what people think of you, right? So, God wants us to be able to trust Him through all things, through this process of letting go. And in this process of letting go, we're also opening ourselves up to receive. because we don't just want to rid ourselves of something, right? We also want to receive from God. We want God to fill those spaces, fill those voids, fill those spaces that you may not even know that you need. God only asks us to take the first step of faith, and He'll take care of the rest. That's our quote for today. So we've been working out of our 21-day intentional balance book, What If Letting Go Leads to More. This is available on Amazon. It's a 21-day guided journal, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But today's quote is, God only asks us to take the first step of faith, and He'll take care of the rest. This quote resonates with me because it captures just the essence of what faith truly is. Like, if you just take a step, sometimes we think we have to have this big picture of all these things we have to do before we can get to a certain place. But God is just saying, take the first step and He'll do the rest, right? Just take the first step. So that's our quote for today. It's not about having it all figured out or knowing every detail. Sometimes I can make a plan and I research and I read and I may watch some videos to learn something, and I'm reading all these books trying to figure it all out before I actually take the action. And sometimes you need to do all those things to learn to get to the place wherever you're trying to be. But at the same time, go ahead and take the first step and then continue to learn and grow, right? Because we should also always be pursuing growth. I'm big on that. And there's different ways to do that, but it's about trusting God in that process. Our scripture for today is 2 Corinthians 5:7, and it says that we live by faith, not by sight. So regardless of how things look and how things feel, we have to just trust God and take that first step and keep going. And sometimes that first step is very uncomfortable, right? Um, it's easy to stay in a comfortable place, even if in that comfortable place is messy and hurtful and has all kinds of blocks. We still sometimes get comfortable, so comfortable in that space. We just stay there, right? Um, Even when it's, something that you can't even, like, I don't even see how that's going to happen, right? We just have to step forward and trust God through the process. But how does that look like in real life? It's easy to say trust God, have faith, I have hope. We say all these things, and we should say them until keep saying them, right? But what does that look like in real life? How do we actually begin to walk? What's the process of walking in faith, not by sight? I'll tell you that it takes some practice, right? It's a healthy habit that you have to continually pursue. But if we haven't met, my name is Kelly Duren-Jones. I am an author, coach, a speaker, and founder of Grace to Grow Beyond Fear. I am passionate about helping other individuals, particularly women, feel brave men, to live with purpose, with hope, with faith, even in the midst of the toughest challenges. Maybe that's fear, maybe that's trauma, maybe that's anxiety. So that's who I am, a part of who I am. And I also lead the Grace Sister Circle, formerly known as the Grace to Grow Circle. It's a community, it's a safe community of faith driven women, hope inspired women. We meet monthly, virtually and in person, so you can join from anywhere around the world. And if you're in the Detroit metro area, we meet every third Friday of the month. And it's just a space, a safe space that we've created, where we can be ourselves, where we can encourage each other, where we can grow. We have a speaker come in, we learn different tools for life, for business, for authorship, from a hope inspired, um, faith based community, right? And we just, it's a it's an amazing time every single month, and I encourage you to join our Great Sister Circle, or if you know someone, all ages, all walks of life. You're welcome to join us. So, it's just a good feeling to be in a space where you can be yourself, And you can pursue growth in a safe space. I keep saying that because there's so many spaces that are unsafe. And I think you know what I'm talking about. So today, again, we're talking about what if letting go leads to more. Together, we explore what it means to trust God's perfect plans, to release the limitations that we hold on to. And I've learned that a lot of my limitations were self limitations, things that I had either, built to myself from not knowing who I am through, just personally and through from God's eyes, the limitations that other people have put on me through their words, through their actions, through things, relationships, things that were spoke over me as a child, maybe, or in unsafe spaces, like maybe what you heard at school or all those type of things, right? Sometimes those limitations that are holding us now we don't realize comes from a childhood trauma or childhood memory. And it's okay to get help with that from a therapist, from a coach, from a psychiatrist. Maybe you need to see a medical doctor because it can, grow into so many things in your life. And once we receive that healing, in whichever area it is, we're able to grow into the space where God has called us. So, again, take that deep breath. Learn to do that every single day. Open up your heart to hear what God has to say to you. And the only way I can do that is by spending time with Him, reading my Bible, sitting still, praying. So, that's why part of our 21-day experience includes writing our daily prayer and taking a daily mental health assessment that we do every day. And we talked about it, I think it was day 5 or 6, and we'll talk about it again kind of on a deeper level because we need to make sure that we're creating that healthy habit in these 21 days. So we're just being more intentional with ourselves, with our relationship with God, with cleaning up our spaces, whether that's, our environments, our physical environments, or our mental environments, our spiritual environments, ridding ourselves of the things that don't serve us or the things that are serving us that we're holding on to, but we know we really need to take it to the next level. So let's talk about 4 key steps to living with bold faith. Bold faith. Um, and all we need is the faith of a mustard seed. So we don't have to make it deep, you know. Sometimes we put too much on ourselves, so much that we give up. You know what? I need to just get better and I'll wait till things are better. I'll wait till I feel better about it. I'll wait till I can actually take the first step. Just go ahead and step out on faith and do it, right? Listen for God's call. Sometimes God's call can come from a dream. It could come from someone. I've been in situations. I remember when I was first starting out as a coach. And if you know me personally, I'm not a person that wants to talk to people. So I was like, how am I going to be a coach, a speaker, and lead a women's group and do all these things? And I'm not the one that talks to people on a personal level or on any other kind of level. So I was just like, I I don't know. So the confirmations that I was receiving from people, from dreams, from just random things happening, it was just amazing how God will show you what you need to do if you're listening and if you're willing to be obedient. The other day we talked about radical obedience. You have to not only hear the word, but you have to be a doer of the word, right? Sometimes the word comes, God uses people to confirm things, and you'll know it when it's God, right? Sometimes we're too busy trying to figure it all out. I was joining the coaching programs. I got the certification. I read the books. I did the online free stuff. I did some paid stuff. I was doing all the things that I felt would make me feel better about it. But the bottom line was me trusting God and being obedient. Sometimes we miss the nudges and the confirmations because we're busy. trying to figure it all out. Like, I can figure this out. So if I'm gonna be a coach, I want to, make sure I'm doing all the things. So I'm in alignment with God, and I'm not going into a space where I'm supposed to be helping people, but instead I'm bleeding all over them with my own issues. So I had to get some healing done, and only God can do that, right? Walking by faith starts with just turning an open ear to God's voice. Um, so what has He been asking you to do? What is the thing you should be doing, but you haven't started? You haven't even started it, or maybe you have started it, but you stopped for some reason. Maybe it's applying for, school. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's something, spiritual within yourself that you need to work on. Some things, sometimes it's our own heart that we need to work on. Maybe it's something simple to one person is not simple to another person. I have a friend, she's a great cook. She can pull up recipes and make anything, and it's always amazing, right? She could really be a professional caterer or something in that area. And she's always like, all you have to do is chop up these million vegetables into a million pieces. That's how it sounds to me when she's just like, chop up the onions, chop up. But in my head, I'm like, chop up all this stuff, get this stuff you never heard of, whip it all together, and this just sounds like so big to me. But for her, it's simple, right? Because that's part of her gift, that's part of her calling, right? And sometimes it's scary. What's scary to me might not be scary to you. Talking on a video may be terrifying to some people like me. But here I am in front of you right now because I had to trust God and just do it. And when you do it, you start building that muscle, and then it's not so scary because you've received that confidence through the work. Maybe you need to go ahead and send that resume. Maybe you need to go ahead and have a talk with somebody, or sign up for therapy, or, sign up to be a therapist. I don't know, but whatever it is, you know what it is. What is the thing? Think about that one thing that you can do that you should be doing that you're not doing. I want you to jot that down, whatever that is. And if you know what it is, drop in the chat. I know what it is. I know the thing I need to do. Sometimes you just need to say it out loud, right? To put it in the atmosphere. God never asks us to do something that He hasn't given us all the tools to do it. I say to myself all the time, He's not giving me vision without provision. I don't know how, I don't know who, I don't know where, I don't know when, but I know if God has told me to do it, then I know that I need to do it, right? And some of the things is what you need to do for yourself. God ain't told you to do it, but you need to do it to make your life better. You need to do it to get to the next step. You need to do it for your family. You need to do it for your own peace. Then write that down too. What is it that I know I need to do, but I just haven't done it yet? Maybe it's fear. Maybe you don't have the resources. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know how it would happen. Write it down anyway. And then we're going to write a prayer later on that we're going to trust God to show us what we need to do in these areas. So what is your first step today? What do you need to do? Number two, I want you to think about moving without all the answers. This is very hard for me because I'm a person who reads and research. I have to have like kind of the answer to something before I move on something. So I had to learn to just go ahead and take the step. So there was a book I read, and I can't even think of the book right now, but there was a book where it's Mel Robbins. Um, can't think of the name of the book, but the book talks about how tools to just go ahead and take the first step. So one of the things with your brain when you're counting forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is no work that's going on in your brain. But if you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, there's a different process that happens because that's something that you don't normally do. So some things, even when I was exercising like I should, I would literally in the morning, my class started at 5, and I would count backwards to get out the bed, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 1, I would force myself to get up. At 1, I would force myself to make the phone call. At one, I would force myself to hit the start button on the video to record some content. At one, I would just move in whatever area. So use that as a tool to say, move even though you don't feel like it, even though you may not understand the answers, you may not know how it's all going to come together. Um, truth faith True faith isn't rooted in logic or guarantees. There's no guarantee that this is going to work out 100% the way you saw it was going to work out. But we know that when God has a plan for us, sometimes we can't figure it out, right? Have you ever been in a situation where something happened and you're like, I had no idea how that was going to happen? And look, I was worried for nothing. I think we all have experienced that. But it's about taking the action, even when we don't understand the full picture. Think about Peter when he was walking on the water. I think it was in Matthew when he was walking in the water, and Jesus was calling him, and Peter took that first step. But as soon as Peter started focusing on the wind and the chaos, and what people said and how crazy it looks, and oh my God, this is water under here, you know, then he began to sink because he took his eyes off of what God had told him to do through faith, right? So we could think about that in our lives. Sometimes God will tell us to do something that sounds and looks absolutely crazy, and when we do it, we're like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But you just halfway do it because you're so scared. When you dip your toe in that water, your whole body gonna fall in. That's what you're thinking instead of trusting God that if He told me to do it, I may waver a little bit, but He's gonna take care of me, right? Even with Peter, I'm sure he was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do it. And then, but what happened? Even when he started, thinking about all the chaos, God still came through and saved him. Like he didn't drown. So you don't have all have. So you don't have to have. Let me slow down. All the answers, or a fear-proof plan. I in the past have been consumed with so much fear in all areas of my life. I didn't realize in everything I did, I tried to have a fear-proof plan. There is no such thing. And then I started saying, well, people say they have no fear. Let me figure that out. I started reading books. I started, saying no fear. Had T-shirts. I was writing it everywhere. No fear, no fear. And then God told me, I didn't tell you not to have that you wouldn't have any fear. I, but what happens when you fear less? When the fear is there, before the camera turns on, the fear is there, but it doesn't have to control you. It doesn't have to limit your thoughts or your actions, right? So I've learned to have a fearless plan. I might be experiencing a little bit of fear if I'm honest with myself, but I fear less. So I'm going to go ahead and do it because as I fear less, more and more that muscle builds, and I'm not so fearful. I still may have a little fear when I grab the microphone, I talk somewhere, but I fear less every time, and my strength and my faith, my hope is building in that. So you have to believe that God will catch you. Like He's there, He got you. He's there to redirect you when you mess up. He's there to redirect you when other people throw a wrench in your plan, right? Because He's in control of all the winds and the chaos and all the things, right? So the last thing is seeking strength through community. Faith wasn't designed to be a simple solo adventure in my opinion, for me. It helps me a lot being surrounded with my great sister circle when other women who believe, who are just women who have ups and downs. We have testimonies, things that we can share with each other that we might not share with somebody else because we're in this safe space. And in those testimonies, we through those testimonies we build each other up. So who is your community? Do you have a community? We created this live and in-person community. First we were just live, and I said, you know what, people who can't even who are in the city, who may not be able to show up in this space, they need this too. Like, we need this safe space all over the world. We need to be able to love one each other in person and virtually, right? Our next meetup is February 21st, and we're virtual only, and we show up in a space, a safe space still, where we don't have to worry about what we're talking about will be, repeated out in the world or used back to harm us in some way. So find your community, um, a community that will encourage you, that will keep you accountable, that will say, hey, some tough love sometimes, like that wasn't right. Or maybe you don't know, but I'm gonna tell you, with loving kindness have I drawn them. Because we all fall off and fall short sometimes. And we need someone to love one. I don't have biological sisters, but the sisters that I have through my community, through my friendship circles, God has truly blessed me. Has true. I'm not missing a beat because I have love from true love in safe spaces, right? So, who is your community? If you have a community, drop it in the chat. Maybe share some other communities with us that we can connect to. Because if one isn't for you, find a different one. Just move on, right? Because there's room for us all in these spaces. There's no competition. There's room for us all. And then when that doubt creeps in, you'll have that circle of people or that person or that resource to help you get back in alignment. And then having that personal relationship with God, a personal relationship is where you start. Number 4, focus on God's promises, not your present struggle. So not looking at what's happening, not looking at what you need to do, what you should do, not falling into a hole with that. But we should be aware of the things that we need to improve on, but not so much that we're just falling into this deep hole of pity party, right? Because when things get hard, and they will, because life will happen, it's so easy to focus on everything that's going wrong. Um, the heartache, it's some of this stuff is legit. Like people really did something to you, or something happened to you that was out of your control. Some stuff we, put on ourselves, but some things are really hurtful, and we have to learn how to forgive others, forgive ourselves, and ask God to fill that space. And that's what we're doing in this 21 days. Right. Asking God to remove the things that are not serving us and fill those space. So we're working on that today. Our scripture, there's a scripture, Hebrews 11:1. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we don't see. Right. So we may not see it, we may not feel it, but just we have confidence in Him. So what are you hoping for today? What do you need assurance with or in? God is at work behind the scenes, in the front of the scenes, all around. If we allow Him to be, right? Sometimes it's us trying to do all the things when we need to just let go and let God and ride it out. Sometimes it's hard because you like, Lord, I need you right now. This bill is due today. This decision has to be made today. I need to figure it out right now. By the end of the week, we're feeling like, oh, God is getting really close. But we have to be in a position where we know God's got it, right? And sometimes that circle helps you with that. Because life can get hard and you're like, I need prayer. I need a word. I need, what do you think about this? You really need that circle, that community of people that you can trust that's not going to have you flip flopping and being out of the will of God doing all kind of crazy things, right? Or sometimes none of us know. We're just going to pray with you. I don't know either. We're just going to pray together, and that's a good feeling too. And then just trusting in God's perfect timing. We talked about time, I think day 10, where we talked about our, time management and God's timing. And we need to make sure making healthy habits to, implement all of that into your life. So I would suggest for today that you make an intentional decision to just trust God through it all. And I'm talking to myself too. Trust God through it all the things that are going on. I think we all can mention something that's happening. If you haven't already, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We are in the process of growing our channel and growing what God has, um, challenged us to do in this season. And I get it. Taking the first step, as we're talking about today, can be scary. Um, but we have to we have to do it. It's just something that you have to do. And once you do it, you'll realize that it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so hard. And sometimes it is. It's like, woo, that took me out a little bit, but God is still here with us, right? He's simply asking you to trust Him enough to move, to take the first step. It's Black History Month. One of the quotes that I found that really resonated with today's message was from Martin Luther King when he said, faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. Now, that sounds really scary. Like you don't know what the next step is, but you might fall down, you might trip, you might even hurt your ankle, right? But you made it, and that first step got you into the place that you need to be. Not seeing the whole staircase, putting in that mindset, I was like, okay, that makes it sound realistic, like how scary it is, whether it's a step towards healing, a step towards growth, a step towards forgiveness, or something entirely new that's going on. I encourage you to act and take that first step today. So for our journal challenge, I asked you to just do 3 things today. Renew your thinking, increase and immerse yourself in God's word, and recall God's faithfulness. Think about something, reflect on moments that God has worked some things out in your life. Write down at least one answered prayer or time when His presence carried you through. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves of the power of God that has did in our own life. And that gives us encouragement to believe for whatever is going on right now. So by renewing your thinking, immersing yourself in the scripture, and remembering His faithfulness, you're taking tangible steps to grow in faith and trust God more deeply, right? Walk boldly today, shoulders back, head up. Do those breathing exercises to release whatever you need to do, knowing that God is guiding us every single step. In a prayer, write your prayer for today. Lord, guide me and direct me as I take this first step of faith and with hope. And as I follow your lead, always trusting in your great plan for my life, go ahead and write that prayer and, reread some of the prayers that you've written over this 21 days. Um, it's just, today is a reminder of what's ahead and how faith can carry us through to get there. Every single step of trust brings us closer to what God is calling us to do and be, um, knowing that He is our strength, that we don't have to rely on our own strength. So I encourage you to keep going, keep trusting, keep stepping forward, moving forward, even when it's scary. And if you're going through something and you need coaching, you need guidance, you need any of the services that we offer, if you're looking for a speaker, I please reach out if you have some questions about the challenge or what's coming up. I encourage you to connect with us, and I'll drop our links in the chat where you can subscribe with us and stay in the know of what's going on. Don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for reminders. As always, show up, be intentional, and expect great things. Your faith is making way for God to do beyond you can ever dream of, more than you can imagine. Day 13. I'll see you tomorrow for day 14. Make it a great day.